Rarest things in the world. It's extremely rare for axolotls to go through a phase called morphing where they lose their gills and webbed feet and essentially evolve into a land creature. But it still happens occasionally as a result of dormant genes from their ancestors, like what happened to this one named Gollum. Found only in the swamps of southern Missouri, dragon scale calcite looks like it came straight out of Game of Thrones. Someone accidentally deleted important photos from their camera, so an image recovery software brought them all back, including this test shot where the camera was assembled in China. This rare tomahawk steak appears to have been cooked to perfection. In certain parts of England, you can find these wavy brick fences. This shape actually uses fewer bricks than a normal brick wall, since it only requires one layer of bricks to make it sturdy thanks to the arch support provided by the wavy pattern. Morbid Facts, Part 594. During a match in Germany in 1993, star tennis player Monica Seles was stabbed in the back with a 9-inch kitchen knife by Gunter Parch, an obsessed fan of her rival Steffi Graf. Parch was infuriated that Seles had overtaken Graf as the #1 player in the world, and admitted that he wanted to injure Seles so severely that she couldn't play tennis for a long time. Following the attack, Seles took a 2-year hiatus from pro tennis and never fully regained her prior dominance. The attacker received a suspended sentence with probation and psychological treatment, a verdict that sparked widespread outrage across the sports world. Part 576. YouTuber Eugenia Cooney rose to fame in the early 2010s for her fashion and makeup videos, but over time, fans grew increasingly concerned over her visibly deteriorating health, with many suspecting a severe eating disorder. In many clips, she appears to be extremely thin, fragile, and shaking, with bones protruding beneath her skin, all while cheerfully discussing beauty routines. Viewers have pointed out moments where she seems disoriented or struggles to sit upright, yet continues streaming, sometimes for hours in front of thousands. As Eugenia's following grew, so did the concern that young and impressionable fans idolized her skeletal frame. In 2019, she entered treatment and appeared healthier upon returning, but over time her condition seemed to regress, sparking renewed accusations of glamorizing eating disorders to vulnerable audiences. YouTube and Twitch have faced mounting criticism for allowing Eugenia's content to remain accessible, despite the ongoing concerns about its potentially harmful influence. Weird crime facts. On his 20th birthday in 1970, Bill Murray joked with a random passenger on his flight that he had some bombs in his suitcase. Soon enough, authorities were called in and ended up arresting Murray for attempting to smuggle 10 pounds of marijuana. Prisoners waiting to be executed on death row in America are given a physical beforehand to ensure that they're fit enough to die. In 2006, a woman farted on a commercial plane and tried to cover the smell by lighting matches. This immediately called for an emergency landing and an FBI investigation. In 1995, a French court found a man guilty of killing a teenage girl, but he was able to avoid jail time by hiding out in Germany. 14 years later, the victim's father hired a private team to locate the killer and kidnap him. They ended up finding him and dumping him in front of a French courthouse, which would later sentence him to 15 years in prison. The servant of Philon was an ancient Greek humanoid robot that was designed to mix and pour wine whenever a cup was placed in its hand. Built in 3rd century BC, the statue was far ahead of its time, as many historians consider it to be the first robot ever built. This insanely well-preserved pair of Levi's jeans was left in a California gold mine in 1879 until it was rediscovered 136 years later. Atlit Yam is a 9,000-year-old submerged Neolithic village off the coast of Israel. Underwater excavations have uncovered houses, a well, and skeletons that have revealed the oldest known cases of tuberculosis. Ferdinand Cheval was a French mailman who spent 33 years building a palace out of rocks he collected along his mailing route. Finished in 1912, the ideal palace is considered to be one of the most extraordinary examples of naive art architecture in the world. Insane coincidences. A man from New Jersey bought a $5 bottle of orange juice from ShopRite, which his wife made him return because it was too expensive. He then decided to buy 2 Powerball tickets with the refunded money and ended up winning the $300 million jackpot. This person caught the same exact fish a month and a half later. Harry John Patch was the last surviving soldier from World War I and was briefly the oldest man in Europe. He died at the age of 111 years, 1 month, 1 week, and 1 day. Tom Cruise divorced all 3 of his ex-wives when they turned 33, and each is 11 years younger than the last. The first person to die during the construction of the Hoover Dam was J.G. Tierney on December 20th, 1922. On the same exact day, 14 years later, the last person died. It was J.G. Tierney's son, Patrick. Insane coincidences. While filming the final scene of the movie Kingpin, where Bill Murray's character bowls 3 strikes in a row, Bill Murray actually did bowl 3 strikes in a row. His celebration along with the crowd's roaring applause were both genuine reactions. An adopted man from Michigan had been searching for his birth mother for 4 years before finding out she'd been working at the same Lowe's as him the entire time. Founder of the Ferrari company, Enzo Ferrari, died on August 14, 1988. Just 1 month later, on October 15th, Arsenal football player Mesut Ozil was born. Someone took this pic of an albino peacock at the exact time that it flew over a regular one, making it look like its spirit was exiting its body. Famous Austrian composer Arnold Schoenberg had extreme triskaidekaphobia, the fear of the number 13. He ended up dying on Friday the 13th at the age of 76. Rarest things in the world. Some people are born with an extra hole in their ear called a preauricular pit. It's connected to an unusual sinus tract underneath the skin, which many scientists believe might be an evolutionary remnant of gills. If you're a big fan of natural bridge caverns, you can purchase this home in San Antonio, Texas for $875,000. The 2.5-acre property comes with 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and a well-maintained natural cavern in the backyard. Here's a pic of veteran racehorse Morstead wearing the world's only Harris tweed suit designed for a horse. Skirt steak. The world's only upside-down traffic light can be found in the Tippery Hill neighborhood of Syracuse, New York. It was made this way because in the early 1920s, the area was heavily populated by the Irish. These locals didn't want red, a color of the British flag, to be higher up than the Irish green. So they kept smashing the lights until a special one was finally made. Artifact porn. Made sometime before 1834, this sealskin whaling suit from Greenland is the only complete suit of its kind in the world. The hunter climbed in through the center hole and made the suit waterproof by pulling the hole closed. In 1972, a man snorkeling along the coast of Italy called the police when he noticed a human hand sticking out of the sand. It ended up being 2 ancient Greek bronze statues that were sculpted around 500 BC. This ancient Roman temple theater complex was discovered in Italy by total chance in the year 2000. Located on the tip of a mountain, the complex dates back to the 4th century BCE. This 4,000-year-old golden ram and stone lion were found inside of a tomb at Goner Tepe in Turkmenistan. The finger in the background shows how small these figures truly are, a testament to the incredible skills of the craftsmen from this time. Weird crime facts. 9. Alexander Litvinenko was a former Russian spy who solved his own murder case. He was poisoned with a cup of tea in a London hotel and was quickly hospitalized. Working with Scottish detectives as he lay dying, he managed to trace the lethal substance to a former comrade in the Russian Secret Service. Serial killer and cannibal Richard Chase only attacked victims who had their doors unlocked. He took locked doors as a sign that he wasn't welcome, but unlocked doors were an invitation to come inside. Troy Leon Gregg was a death row inmate in Georgia who escaped the night before his execution. But that same night, he ended up being killed in a bar fight. Donald Harvey was a nurse and serial killer who killed 37 of his patients with cyanide. He was only caught when one of his victims' coroners had the rare genetic ability to smell cyanide. In 1954, Ann Hodges was hit with a softball-sized meteorite while taking a nap in her Alabama home. She remains the only known human to ever be hit by a meteorite. Jeremy Moody was a guest at a party for lifeguards who were celebrating going an entire season without anyone drowning. But at the end of the party, with over 100 lifeguards present, Jeremy's body was found at the bottom of the pool. In 1996, a man's body floated up to a boat in the seas of the UK. There was no identification on the body except for a 25-year-old Rolex Oyster on his wrist. Thanks to Rolex maintaining such meticulous service records, they were able to identify the man and ultimately his killer. In the 1980s, a family owned a ceramic factory in California called Oscar Ceramics. But in 1987, the factory was shut down when it was revealed to be an illegal crematorium. This only happened when a passerby who happened to be a Holocaust survivor recognized the smell of burning bodies from his time at Auschwitz. In 1999, skydiver Joan Murray's parachute malfunctioned, causing her to fall from 14,000 feet directly onto a mound of fire ants. But doctors think the shock of adrenaline from 200 fire ant stings kept her heart beating and saved her life. 112 people died during the construction of the Hoover Dam. The first to die was surveyor J.G. Tierney on December 20th, 1922. On the same exact day, 14 years later, the last person died during construction. It was J.G.'s son, Patrick Tierney. In 1979, Elvita Adams tried to cease her own existence by plummeting from the Empire State Building. She leapt from the 86th floor but was blown back onto the 85th floor by a sudden strong gust of wind. In 1991, a woman from Thailand accidentally slipped in the mud, grabbed a live wire, and was electrocuted to death. Later that same day, when her sister was showing the neighbors how the accident happened, she slipped, grabbed the same live wire, and was electrocuted to death. This extremely rare illusion is an example of a fata morgana. It's a mirage that causes the object to appear distorted due to bending rays of light. It can happen to any large distant object, including boats, buildings, and islands. It's also believed that this illusion created the myth of the Flying Dutchman. In 2012, French beekeepers couldn't solve the mystery of the blue and green colored honey in their beehives. After months of investigating, it was discovered that the bees were visiting a local factory that produces M&Ms. The Bajau people of Southeast Asia are often considered sea nomads. They have no homes, money, or nationalities, and they spend 60% of their life underwater. They can go spearfishing at depths greater than 200 feet without any scuba gear and have even developed much larger spleens than the average human to help them survive underwater. A 45-year-old woman named Christine Barnett adopted a 6-year-old girl in 2010. The woman was recently charged with abandoning her daughter in Indiana and fleeing to Canada back in 2013. However, Barnett claims that her daughter is actually a 22-year-old sociopath with dwarfism who is pretending to be a child. She also claims that the girl has attempted to kill her on multiple occasions. She says the girl has tried to push her into an electric fence, has poured bleach into her coffee, and has threatened to stab her in her sleep. The woman claims that the adoption was a scam and that the girl was actually born in 1989. Morbid Facts, Part 553. When he was a young boy, actor Terrence Howard witnessed his dad stab a man to death while they were waiting in line to take pictures with Santa Claus at a department store in what became known as the Santa line slaying. The victim, who was also with his family, reportedly made a racist comment to Terrence's father Tyrone after he thought he cut the line, which quickly escalated to a fatal fight. Tyrone was arrested and pleaded self-defense since the other man attacked first and was sentenced to 11 months in prison. Hansgavel dagger from Denmark is just under 4,000 years old. It's considered one of the most impressive examples of ancient flint knapping. This 16th century ring from Germany unfolds into an astronomical sphere. The earliest known sunglasses were created by Inuit hunters about 2,000 years ago. They were made to shield their eyes from the blinding glare of sunlight that reflected off the snow. This drawing of a Nosferatu-like creature was found in a 15th century Polish manuscript. The Devil's Bridge is a 19th century bridge in Germany that was designed to make a perfect circle with its reflection. About 1,000 years ago, a Viking craftsman dropped all of his equipment in a lake on the island of Gotland. In 1936, the perfectly preserved wooden chest containing all of his tools was found at the bottom of the former lake. When James Mack's ex-girlfriend Sarah filed a restraining order on him, he realized he had to do something extreme to win her back. So he got 37 plastic surgeries and a vocal cord operation to completely change his identity. But a few weeks after meeting her, he made a comment about when they first started dating and she called police immediately to have him arrested. In Canada, it's illegal to pretend to practice witchcraft. However, it's perfectly legal to practice witchcraft. The worldwide sale of Coke earns more than Microsoft, McDonald's, and Kellogg's combined. In 1997, a Danish woman was arrested in New York City for leaving her baby outside in a stroller while she was dining in a restaurant. But since leaving her baby out is common practice in Denmark, she sued the city and was awarded $66,000. This is the 3,200-year-old tomb of Queen Nefertari, and it's often considered the Sistine Chapel of ancient Egypt. The paintings are said to be the best preserved and most detailed decorations of any Egyptian burial site. This was Napoleon's golden sword that was actually used in battle over 200 years ago. It sold at auction in 2007 for $6.4 million. The Orkney hood was found in a Scottish peat bog in 1867. Despite being around 1500 years old, the garment is still in amazing condition. In the desert landscape of Saudi Arabia, you might stumble upon the Lonely Castle. It was carved out of a single rock nearly 2,000 years ago. This mosaic floor was found by divers near the ancient sunken city of Baia in Naples, Italy. This used to be the floor of an ancient palace in what once was the Las Vegas of ancient Rome. Olivia Farnsworth is the only known case of chromosome 6 deletion in the world. She doesn't feel pain, hunger, or the need to sleep. She was once hit by a car and dragged nearly 100 feet, but said she felt nothing and emerged with only minor injuries. The Black Samani is a rare breed of chicken whose meat, skin, organs, and bones are all solid black. If you ever want to try one, it'll cost you upwards of $5,000. This is what a broken iris looks like in humans. It usually happens as a result of something whipping into your eye, causing a bruise or tear in the iris. Filet mignon. The most expensive license plate in the world was bought by an Abu Dhabi businessman for a staggering $14 million. This makes the #1 plate more valuable than the most expensive car ever made. According to a 1992 biography, before she was married to Ronald, Nancy Reagan was known around Hollywood for giving the best head. She was reportedly known as Just Say Yes Nancy and was very popular on the MGM lot for her glucking abilities. Napoleon Bonaparte apparently loved stinky beaver. On several occasions, he wrote to his lover instructing her not to wash up before he returned to her. The wife of U.S. President Benjamin Harrison died while he was in office in 1892. 4 years later, Harrison married his dead wife's much younger niece and had a daughter with her. His original adult children, who were around 40 years old at the time, were so disgusted by their father marrying their cousin that they didn't attend the wedding. Legendary artist Jackson Pollock died in a drunken car crash in 1956, along with his passenger Edith Metzger. Legend has it that Edith was found with Pollock's bitten-off wiener in her mouth. In the late 1600s, a serial spanker used to terrorize the streets of London with his spanking tactics. Nicknamed Whipping Tom, the man would assault unaccompanied women by lifting their dresses and spanking their butts while yelling, "Spanko!" Vigilantes dressed as women started patrolling areas where he was known to strike. At least 70 attacks were carried out before Thomas Wallace was captured and confessed to the spankings. Adam West and Frank Gorshin were both kicked out of an orgy once because they refused to stop acting like Batman and the Riddler during it. Winston Churchill was a bit of a nudist. He claimed to have some form of skin condition that made clothes uncomfortable for him to wear for long periods of time. When he visited the White House, he once had a conversation with FDR while he was completely naked. Out of the estimated 307 million lakes in the world, less than 30 of them are pink. The largest being Australia's Lake Hillier, which gets its natural bubblegum hue from a combination of red algae and bacteria. But the water is completely safe for humans to swim in. A sundog is an extremely rare weather phenomenon that produces bright spots around the sun. It happens when sunlight refracts off of ice crystals during perfect atmospheric conditions. There are over 38,000 McDonald's locations in the world, but only the one in Roswell, New Mexico is shaped like a UFO. This incredible award-winning photograph left scientists from all over the world completely astonished in 2018. At the very center of the image is a single atom suspended in motion by electric fields. What makes this photo so amazing is that it was captured with just an ordinary camera. Thomas Wetters was a circus performer in Yorkshire, England throughout the 18th century. He was famously known for having a 7.5-inch nose, which was confirmed by the Guinness Book of World Records to be the longest nose in history by more than double. This is the only known footage of the extremely rare box jellyfish known as Chirodectus. Captured off the coast of Papua New Guinea, this was only the second ever sighting of the species in recorded history. This rare beef tenderloin was slow roasted to perfection. In 1930, the Indiana Bell Building was completely rotated 90 degrees in just 1 month. The 22 million pound structure was moved 15 inches per hour while 600 employees still worked there. There was no interruption to gas, water, electricity, or telephone service, and no one inside felt the building move. In 1913, a 12-year-old black girl named Sarah Rector was given land deemed unsuitable for farming. But it turned out to be rich with oil, and she became a millionaire overnight. She was known as the richest colored girl in the world, and Oklahoma legislation even made an effort to have her legally declared white. These natural ice formations in Antarctica look like structures built by the ancient Romans. An electric company in Arkansas was forced to post this PSA after someone took out a power line with an unbelievable arrow shot. Mario Puzo, the author of the Godfather books who also adapted them to film, had no idea what he was doing since he'd never written a script before. After winning 2 Oscars, he decided to buy a book on screenwriting to learn how to improve. In the very first chapter, it said to study the first Godfather film. In 1987, a British woman purchased a ring from a flea market for $5, thinking it was simply a nice-looking artificial stone. But 33 years later, she discovered that it was actually a genuine 26-carat diamond ring worth $960,000. During the Crimean War over 160 years ago, a French and Russian soldier fired at each other and their bullets miraculously collided. The series Breaking Bad has 62 episodes in total. The 62nd element on the periodic table is samarium, a substance typically used to treat lung cancer. One of the most renowned vasectomy doctors in all of Texas is named Dr. Dick Chop. Packers fan Jim Becker regularly donated blood in order to afford tickets for games. Years later, he found out that he had a potentially deadly disease that could only be prevented through giving blood. So without even knowing it, he was saving his own life by donating blood the entire time. In 2013, a 5-year-old girl was kidnapped out of her driveway in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. But 15-year-old Tamar Boggs chased the car for 20 minutes until the kidnapper released the child. Iceland is so safe that parents routinely leave their babies outside to nap in their strollers while they run errands. This is a photo of Kwame Ajamu being told by a judge that he is a free man after being falsely imprisoned for 27 years. Future biotechnology could make prisoners feel as though they're serving a 1,000-year sentence in a matter of hours. Drugs and electronics could be developed to distort prisoners' minds into thinking that time was passing more slowly. This is a photo of a stripper posing in front of a judge in 1983. She was displaying that her bikini briefs were too large to expose her cooter to the undercover cops who arrested her. After a meticulous examination by the judge, the case was dismissed. A group of thieves in England posed as mannequins in a department store just before it closed for the night. They then got away with stealing 10,000 pounds in merchandise. Jackie Chan's father was a spy while his mother was an opium dealer. They met through an arrest and fell in love. A python from Australia became addicted to meth after living in a drug lab. Police busted the lab before sending the snake to rehab for 7 months.